What's going on? Is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. I was scheduled to do some street interviews today because somebody had gave me the idea when I was doing the Millionaire Morning Show. But then one of my watch dealers, one of my authorized dealers, called me and said that they had one of my grill watches in. And that just so happens to be the Rose Gold Sky Dweller. So we decided to take an impromptu trip down to Miami, where one of my authorized dealers are. I got an authorized dealer here that I love. Actually, I got two authorized dealers here. And then I got two down in Miami that I go to. And I got one in Orlando. And so when they call me with certain things, I have to fly and go and pick it up. And so that's what we're doing right now. So we're going to be doing after hours. We're going to be doing after hours from Miami. And then I'm going to fly back to Detroit tomorrow. And we're going to get back to what it is that we do. But without further ado, what I actually want to talk to you guys about is the elite, the black elite. The black elite are the ones that are basically being the gatekeepers for how it is that you guys are supposed to vote. Now, I'm going to explain to you guys how it works. And then you guys can draw your own conclusions. But the black elite, and you're starting to see them, and they're everywhere. And sometimes they're not as visible and then they pop out. So lately I've seen Spike Lee. Spike Lee has now thrown his support behind Kamala Harris. And I'm going to tell you why they're really throwing their support behind Kamala Harris. Because on the surface, it could seem like, well, they're just supporting them and they're rocking with them and so on and so forth. No, that's not true. That is absolutely not true. They're friends. They are friends with Kamala Harris, and they are friends in the establishment. And so they now become the go along, the get along gang. And if you look at, I believe it was like Dave Chappelle's commentary, and he was telling a joke or something about when he first met Kanye West, and he was saying something. I think it was one of those comedians that was saying that they seen Kamala Harris in a room and all of that, or I'm not sure exactly what that is, but I'll try to find that story and use that as a talking point very, very soon. But what you'll find is that there are some that are higher level and some that are mid-tier, but there's no lower level ones. The lower level ones are the ones that's trying to get into the club, or they're the ones that are new to the establishment, and they may not even have the type of resources, but they have influence, which influence then translate into power, power translate into resources, so on and so forth. And so when you see the Spike Lees, right, and Spike Lee was at the Democratic National Convention, and he was one of the New York delegates, and he was the one that was saying, oh my God, it's not history, it's her story, and we need to see a woman in office and a woman in power. And then Charlamagne somehow was on a CNN stage with Angela Rye, and he's always caping and advocating, and every once in a while he'll slip up and say, well, Kamala Harris actually called me and said this and that, or when she talks to me or whatever, right? And then you see the Steve Harveys, and he don't ask no hard questions, and the Ricky Smiley, which he seems to be a little bit on a lower tier, but you know, he's like mid-tier. He's not lower tier, he's like mid-tier, because he's associated with Steve Harvey. And then you see all of these guys that's the go along, the get along gang, and they caping for it super, super hard. The D.L. Hughleys, you know, and they always popping up, and somehow D.L. Hughley seems to be a blackety black, but he always popping up on Vlad TV's platform and stuff like that. These are somewhat of the gatekeepers because they know that together they wield influence over you guys, who then tend to follow them, and it's mostly female audiences that follow them, and then they determine who gets in and who don't get out, and you know what I'm saying? So then you'll say, well, but they don't have no talking points, they can't talk to the policy. When has the black community ever required anything as far as substance in order for them to vote? And so the elites understand that there's money and there's resources that come along with playing the game, you know what I'm saying? So y'all gotta start being more aware. Because what you don't realize or what you don't recognize is that all of these people are friends. So they all benefit from each other. They all benefit from being in an establishment. When she gets in, they benefit. You see Oprah just so happen to pop out. Why is Oprah popping out? Oprah herself said that she don't even have no vested interest or whatever. BS. Nonsense. But even if she didn't, and even if she made her money, and even if she gonna be rich forever, y'all wasn't even rocking with her. Now I'm starting to see people all over social media just so happened to start rocking with her and started to say that they rolling. Taraji P. Henson was just against her. Y'all was just trying to go at her for the whole Hawaii thing of her having land there and going at her instead of The Rock. You see these people now, the smart ones are quiet because those are the ones that's not participating. And I don't want to say any names because they haven't said anything. But the point of the matter is they get richer off of your pain. Right? When you think about people that are successful, and you also think about this liberal side in the Democratic Party, you have to think about the idea that the more that you suffer, the more they benefit, because ultimately you are the consumer class. And even when you lose your stuff, I'll give you a small example. Let's say, for example, you can't afford your home, but you went and bought a home, and so it wound up going into foreclosure because of the policies and the red tape and all of the things that come along with it, and immigration into this country, taking your jobs and your tax base and your resources, and your property values then go up because we got to use those resources in order to take care of the demographic, right? Well, guess what? When you lose your home, guess who buys it? Those that got resources. And so it then becomes a class war, but they continue to leverage the fact that you got identity politics, and that's the thing that you're focusing on in order for you to vote. And so the difference between the Democratic and the Republican class is that neither one is supposed to give you anything. It's not about a handout. It's more or less about tying you to, one party ties you to the party through thinking that they benefit you by giving you a handout, which really you the ones that's overpaying for it because your taxes go up, your property taxes go up, all of these things. So you have to pay for it, right? Think about that for a second. And then on top of that, you look at the other side. The other side is saying that we want to have smaller government. We want to remove all the barriers. We tend to lean more towards conservative values. And this is the party that actually more closely aligns with you. But you don't look at that side. You look at the side that then actually is more elitist. Think about it. I looked at a video, and I'm going to do a review video on that, where I think it was Chris Cuomo. And he was showing at the Democratic Party all of the different suites and stuff and how much it costs, the millions of dollars that it costs to even sit in those suites. Why would people who are super rich, why is Oprah, why is George Clooney so vested in the Democratic Party? What does he get out of it? Have y'all ever talked about that? Have y'all ever thought about that? Y'all don't think about that type of stuff? But again, separating that, there's a class of elites that are all friends, and you can't get in the club. You're not in the club. You don't have the opportunity to do so. You know why? Because you're not a part of the go along, get along gang. You don't have the influence. You don't have the money. Even if you have the money, you don't have the influence. You don't have the visibility. You can't tell nobody what to do. And so they're not checking for you, homie. Wake up. Wake up. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. This is my flight. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.